I don't know if you can get any better. I really don't.
There wasn't a bump in it. From what I could see,
right.
It was just it was just dry slick smooth. And I've never seen that.
The only time there was any bumps is if a car had crashed and created one.
Yeah,
but it was not any natural bumps. I mean, we saw the sheep's foot afterwards going over the track, and it was bouncing because that track was just rock solid all the way around.
It was hard. It was smooth. It was. I thought it was just absolutely fantastic last night.
Yes.
All divisions, and we started hearing some rubber go down, and we could hear that when I think we started hearing it when the sport mods come on, and you could hear them getting in. And I think, okay, now the track's getting really fast. It was an awesome show. We had 6 classes on hand last night, and one that impressed Dom was the mod lights. Now, I've seen those in an exhibition once at Bakersfield. And I thought, what in the heck are those little things? I'd never seen one.
2 years ago.
2 or 3 years ago, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get to really see them race. They all kind of went out single file and just kind of, put on a demonstration. Right. Watching those guys race last night, Dom.
They are fast.
Are those the coolest little cars?
The one thing I was really impressed with is I figured it was a dwarf car with a different body.
No.
And it is completely different.
It is.
They were showing me the differences.
Some of them are.
Yeah.
There's 2 or 3 that are out there that are converted dwarf cars.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're looking at the mod lights, the true mod lights. Is it Forster that builds those?
Well, Zach is probably like the Godfather.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And so he doesn't really build them. He helps out. But the ones that are housed in his shop, okay, the drivers, they must work on them. And he does give them advice, but he's not hands-on and turning wrenches. And there's rules and regulations, good grades. You have to show up on time in the shop. Too many times, and that car is parked. Incredible guy, and of course I know he wanted to win because that was the first time that the Mod Lights have ever been invited to the Bud Nationals.
Right.
So, but I got to tell you guys, missing our leader Scott Schweitzer last night, and I got to really shout out to the crew and employees and the staff at Bakersfield Speedway. During the week, we had a couple of meetings, and with our hearts in our hands, but we knew we had to get a game face on, and. I think they all did really well. We had a little snafu in the computers, game right back up. But we got some great people there, and we call them family. We call the fans family. And
definitely
way
family.
to go, the staff at Bakersfield Speedway.
That is an awesome deal. Watching how you guys came together, and it wasn't just the Bakersfield staff coming together to put this show on in a time where it's total tragedy. Losing Bailey in a senseless act of violence like that, horrible.
Not only losing Bailey, but everybody that was involved, families and friends that were down there.
That was what I was getting to.
Witnessed it. That's a tough thing to do for some, basic knucklehead to pull something off like that. But in a time of tragedy, you see where friends and family are.
And how much strength did it take for Scott and Chrissy to come to the track? They had surrounded by friends and their pastor, but to come out. I didn't think we'd see either one of them.
And I don't think we expected to.
No. We planned that memorial without them.
Well, and rightfully so, because honestly, if it was me, I don't know if I'd be there. But you got to give it to those guys. I think they appreciate everything that you guys have done as a staff. You talk about the racing community coming together in this event. We just spoke with Keith Little, the owner of Tulare Speedway, who said, hey, listen, we sent our safety crew up. This is a big race. They need the extra help. Send them up there. That was their safety crew here last night. We got Chris Kern stepping in to help run the
from
show.
Arizona.
We're talking about promoters who compete against each other in a sense, saying, hey, let's put it together. Let's get together and make this one heck of a show for the fans. And I'm telling you right now, mission accomplished.
Absolutely. But I was shocked at the car count. 165 cars. We had to actually open up the back 40 acres.
Yes.
To put everybody in.
And they were still pushing the limits. I mean,
that broke the record for the past decade.
Well, I know the first year that I came up to do the Bud National was 2013. I think we had 142 cars here at this show, and it blew my mind.
Yeah. That was the peak, but with this past weekend, that broke the record for the past decade of cars for the Bud Nationals.
165 cars in the house.
But getting back to the crews coming out, Chris Kearns coming from Arizona, bringing his right-hand man with him, then making phone calls because Chris is from Santa Maria, and him and Scott worked very well together when he was at Santa Maria. He called his people in Santa Maria, Debbie Jeffers, come on out, bring your people to come help out with us. We need it. Debbie, wonderful lady, loves, racing down to the core, anything to do to help out, steps up, says, I'll be there, no questions asked, work transponders, and it just made everything, everybody stepped up and took that extra step where I don't need to be told what to do. I know what to do. I know my job. I'm going to do it and make it smooth.
Yeah, and there was one more promoter there, and I'm remiss. I've forgotten his name. I didn't know he was there. I read it in the Californian this morning, and we certainly want to thank him and Chris Kearns and their staff, and to Larry Speedway for bringing the safety crew. They all kind of jumped in, but everybody wanted to say, what can we do? Not only was it racetracks, but people and drivers. What can we do?
I think that also says a lot about Scott Schweitzer himself as a promoter and the respect he has in the racing community down here in California.
Oh,
that
definitely. He is
doesn't
top
happen.
Yeah.
That really doesn't happen a lot under any circumstances. For those guys to come together to do what they did, I mean, just really shows the respect.
I'm sure he was really impressed, and the people, the outpouring of people, and the help, and again, competitors no longer coming together,
yes,
and putting the show. And I'm sure that will stick in his mind as one of the high points of this weekend.
The other guy you were talking about was Bubby from Hanford. They offered, and Hanford offered their track. Santa Maria offered their track. Ventura offered their track, saying, hey, if you can't do the Bud Nationals at Bakersfield because it's too tough, we'll open our track for your event. Offered straight up anything you need, we'll open it for you. So Santa Maria opened it. Ventura did the same thing. Tulare did it. Hanford did it. Mm-hmm. And it just shows that, yes, we're business competition, but it's not a competition. We're a business family putting on an event.
And that's where you hit the high point, family. We come back to we are a racing family, so we're all going to pull together during these hard times, but we're going to make the show go on. We're going to go out there, honor these people, honor Bailey the best way we can by putting on the show that was just an amazing show, and that's what we saw last night.
Yep, and I'm going to take you guys, especially you two, tonight, up to Bailey's balcony above
when
the
he says
Sugar
you
Shack.
two, he's talking about Dom and Joel.
Yeah,
I'm
Dom
not
and Joel.
in the group,
because,
so.
well, Corey's
That's
already
scary.
been up there.
The Sugar Shack.
Up to the Sugar Shack in the Bailey balcony up there where basically she grew up, was on top of that balcony. I'll take you up there during one of the races and let you see the track.
You guys
up
are
there.
going to love this. These cars come straight at you down the backstretch, wide open. They slide those things into turn 3, and you're looking down over them just as they go underneath. I mean, it is the coolest view in the house.
Yeah.
I
It's
can't
awesome.
wait because Turn 3 last night was where all the action was.
There was a lot.
There was,
yeah.
it's the passes for the lead, the slide jobs, the unfortunate collection of some equipment in Turn 3. But at the same time, Turn 3 was probably the most technical part of the racetrack.
Well, and we saw that early on in the program with Joey Tanner. I hate to talk about it. It makes all the 16-hour drive south from Oregon, gets out on the track to qualify, and the car went straight to the turn 3 wall, and he broke a whole bunch of stuff. That crew stayed up all night long and finished that car at about 4 o'clock this morning. Word is he's going to get back on the track for night number 2.
They're talking about.
And that's a great thing because last night it went from, I'm going to try for the main, and then an hour later it was, I'm done for the weekend.
And that's what we heard.
And then, once again, racing family, we pull together. We're going to beat you on the track. Let's get you on there so we can beat you the right way.
And there was cars from all over coming over going, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? And, there was Ferreira was there. There was Weinbarger there.
Ferrando and Weinbarger.
There was guys across the way from
throwing parts.
Not only throwing parts, they were throwing wrenches. They were throwing whatever they could at that thing to help him out. There was 7 different jacks that were all different colors, and none of them were his.
Yeah,
under that car.
It's one of those deals where you see all that action going, and you say, you know what, we're going back to the. Typically, we would jump in and try to help. We did it down in Vegas with Brian Thompson when he got in his deal.
It's grassroots, bro. The only way to win is on the track. So,
and there is a such thing at one point. There's just too many hands, and. Those guys are good at what they do, and we're good at what we do, and we'll just leave it at that. But I'm glad to hear, and I hope that they got the car fixed.
Yeah,
get
they
Joey
got to
back
fix
on
the
track.
right front still. They said they got to do a little bit of work on that because they had to get a couple parts that weren't there, but somebody had them, and he was able to get them. But, I mean, I was looking at the track, and you guys not being from here don't see it quite yet, but turn 2 coming out of it widens.
Oh, very
1
much
and 2,
so.
Because that's where the entrance is. Coming into 3 and 4, it kind of hairpins. So when you come into 3 and you set it, it's a tight turn coming into 4 real quick, and a lot of the guys were having trouble with that because they're wide open coming down the front stretch, sling it into 1, be able to carry all that momentum down to the back stretch going into 3, and all of a sudden they got a button hook.
Right.
And car wasn't set up for.
And one of the unique things about Bakersfield Speedway is when you enter turn 3, if you stand back there, or if you even stand on the front stretch and look at turn 4, and Dom, we talked about this.
Yeah.
What's the banking on Bakersfield Speedway and how it progressively banks from the bottom to the top in turns 3 and 4, and how different it is from the other end of turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, there was a noticeable difference. But, really, I didn't want to get off subject, but I got to say, I did not know how we were going to get through all these cars. And when I seen, we talked about how you said how methodical it works. But what I liked was that when if somebody had trouble, they went right to the infield and they kept racing.
Right.
There wasn't all these cautions thrown and cars on the track. So efficient.
Yeah, these guys have got it. They've got it figured out. It's a fantastic deal. Sully?
Well, I got to tell you, we have a real treat tonight. Dakota Schweitzer will be on the track for the first time in a while, and working long and hard all summer on there. Dakota, it's good to see you here today at BKE.
Yeah, thank you for having me down here. And
I think you were kind of getting the groove back for tonight, huh? Let's go through your mind right now.
I had to get some practice laps in before I go get in the big car.
Isn't that a great little track?
Man, it's amazing down here. What these guys have done is just so cool, and for them helping out my family, I truly appreciate it. And you guys coming and showing support and doing everything you guys are doing.
Well, from the whole Moxie family, our condolences to you guys. Awesome family, and I'll tell you, the hospitality that you guys show us when we come down here to cover this race. I can remember being up in the Mosier Tower and Bailey coming up with a tray of drinks and saying, "Hey, you guys hot? You thirsty? What do you want? Tell me what you need." I mean, it was all the time. She just took care of us, and she didn't know us. I mean, that was the first year, the second year, and it just kept getting, then we got to know her by name, and got to be, and her and Sandy talked a couple times, my wife, and it was just unbelievable to show up at a racetrack and see that kind of hospitality and never having to need anything from our side in the media is that's not normal.
She loved taking care of people.
She was
just what she did.
And the thing I remember most about your sister is just being so bright. I mean, I just remember her coming in and she just bright and happy, and you could tell she loved life. You could tell she was having fun at Bakersfield Speedway, and I think that radiated to everybody around them, and it spread.
Yeah. Now you're running tonight a hobby, is that correct?
Street stock.
Pro stock. Pro stock. Go big time.
All right.
Yeah. And now I see Dakota 3 or 4 times a week, and I know that through the summers you were waiting for the engine, and you almost had it out a few weeks ago, but then something went awry.
Yeah, I actually was building a hobby stock motor, and it just kind of fell through. So my dad had a 604 crate from 10 years ago when I ran a street stock. And I called up my Uncle Randy and said, "Hey, can I borrow your car? I'll bring an engine." And so Monday we pulled the engine out of his car and put this crate in there. And
perfect.
Bailey was helping me out on this one because this motor has been sitting for at least 6-7 years, and it fired up first try.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful.
Just fired right up and moved it around, and so got it all stickered up. I'm going to go for it tonight.
But you've taken a few laps on the track, I think last night.
No, the most I've had on that track in that car is pulling down from the Memorial last night.
Yeah.
Well, what goes through your mind? I mean, you obviously are a racer, and you've raced many times before, but it's been a while before you've been in there. And now you're going to bring it out on the Bud Nationals.
Yeah. I'm going to have to go through hot laps and just kind of see what the car does and try and make some adjustments and hopefully transfer through my heat race and get a good pill. And
now, last night, your brother – oh, man, you talk about bad luck. Sitting on the pole for his main event, charges out there. A couple laps later, spins in turn 4 and collects another car. I mean, he was driving with his heart in his hand. You could tell.
Yeah.
And it's kind of – I just felt bad for him because I knew what he wanted to do, and he couldn't get it done because the car was broke at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he started on the outside pole, went into 1 and 2, came out of 2 in the lead. He said he got going down the back straight away and just started celebrating already. I mean, he just said, "I got excited," and overdrove it into 3 and just spun out.
Yeah.
Well, turn 3 it got a lot of guys last night. I mean, that is a very tricky spot of that racetrack, and again, talking about it was fairly slick early in the program, and that's in that section of the racetrack. The banking down there, I think, if you're not real familiar with that place, can really mess with your mind as far as what you see and what you actually feel because it's so progressive from the top to the bottom. you can see guys on the bottom that don't get up on where it's really banked, and they're just flying around the bottom. And then the guys that figure out the top come off, and it's a drag race to the start finish line with the guy in the bottom.
Yeah.
It looks like he's got 5 cars